As the year rolls on, it's time to take a look at some Xbox exclusives that you can look forward to playing this year. New experiences, new IP, whilst also revisiting one of gaming's biggest and most loved franchises. Now, due to everything that's been happening in the world last year and this year, these don't have set dates yet, but they were confirmed to be 2021 releases or have a large chance to hit this year. These are the Xbox exclusives that you should be able to experience on your new Xbox Series X and S, and some also on the Xbox One family of consoles as well. There's diversity amongst this lineup, from indie games and first-person shooters through to games with face-meltingly good graphics, and that will definitely make the most of the power of the Series X. These may also be on PC or timed console exclusives as well. But if you like the video, then hit the thumbs up, share it, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. Plus check the description for a link to the Discord to discuss everything Xbox and gaming. But now let's dive into some of the Microsoft and Xbox lineup of games for this year. Let's go. So first up at number 10, we start with Tunic, a very small indie game basically created by one person, and you play as a tunic wearing fox, and just watching the footage should trigger thoughts of another series, especially for those who have been gaming for many years, as the influence of the earlier games in the Legend of Zelda series is quite obvious. Played from a more isometric view, the world is here for you to explore and to uncover the secrets it has, solve the puzzles presented, and make your way to the next area. The developer wanted this to be more of a game that you start up and find out what you need to do, where to go and how to solve puzzles, more so on your own than having an icon or an arrow telling you where to go, which harkens back to games from decades ago. You'll also be fighting some enemies as you make your way through this charming and cute adventure. And even if this isn't much of a game that appeals to you, it could still be worth checking out, as the visual look of the game is quite charming, and to see how it stacks up to the influences it wears so proudly on its sleeve. If you can blend the mix of puzzles, combat, and exploration well, and make it its own thing, then Tunic could be something unique, and not just a game wanting to be Zelda. Worth keeping an eye on. For number 9, we have The Gunk, a third-person cartoon-like action game which will launch on Xbox Game Pass, and this sees your character discover a planet that seems to be infested with some sort of substance that is over the landscape and on the plant life, and that's The Gunk. You're equipped with some sort of mechanical vacuum-like device which you can suck up the substance with, and which in some way will slowly bring the planet back to life. Not a whole lot has been shown of the game so far, but just watching the trailer, you can tell that even though it in no way goes for realism in terms of its graphics, I find it simply has a lot of style in the visuals department, especially when it comes to the alien environments and lighting, and some of the imagery which you get to see. If this can incorporate a solid story, along with having this mysterious planet slowly open up and reveal more and more to the player in terms of what's actually going on, how the Gunk came to be, and really whether it actually needs to be there or not. Not just a simple third-person action adventure, something with more depth, then this could be a bit of a sleeper hit. Looking forward to playing this one. At number 8, we have the weird and dark world of Scorn, and I decided to put this further down the list as, even though I find it really intriguing in terms of its look and just what it will be like to play, I'm also a bit apprehensive about those same things. Will it mostly all look the same? Will the gameplay actually be any good? Will it be fun to play? If these aspects aren't up to scratch, then we could find ourselves playing in a bit of a visually impressive game, but which is ultimately shallow, uninteresting, and just a bit boring. Now, I hope it's nothing like that, and of course, I will play it, but if you can have some compelling gameplay, mix that in with this strange world, plus have a story that unfolds, giving players more information about what's going on and fleshing out the world of Scorn, then it could be something good. For myself, it will come down to how well these are implemented, and walking around non-linear environments that look the same could become a little bit repetitive pretty quickly. So it needs the overarching story to tie it together, plus have some great enemy designs and good action to break up the exploration. It does have its own unique aesthetic, and I really hope it can deliver the goods when it comes out. And for number 7, we have Crossfire X, and which we've known about for a while now, not really seeing a lot of it, but even though the longevity of this one will be in its multiplayer action, I really want to see what this can provide with its campaign, seeing as it's being developed by Remedy, the studio behind Max Payne, Quantum Break, Alan Wake and Control, as I've always been big fans of their work. So I'm expecting a very interesting storyline, filled with intrigue, mystery, plus some weirdness as well, like everything Remedy does. all whilst looking like a damn good game from a visual standpoint. And the single player deals with a conflict which exists between two military groups. Now, this game's multiplayer is incredibly popular in Asian markets already, and it's free to play, but the single player portion won't be free to play. But in terms of the multiplayer, two teams go head to head in a variety of game modes you'll already be familiar with if you're into PvP type games, so don't expect too many surprises here, but hopefully it becomes just as popular when it finally launches on console, and that it has a healthy player base as well. If this can have a really solid and ongoing story campaign, plus a fun and balanced multiplayer, then this can hopefully find its large player base and be popular over the long term. Coming in at number 6 is the Artful Escape, and if you always like your games to have their own style and visual design, then this is one game for you, as this looks to have style simply oozing from everywhere with its excellent art style, lighting, environments, and the use of colour. And I'm looking forward to playing this quirky platformer, and am eager to see how the gameplay is as well. You play as Francis Vendetti, whose uncle was a well-known musician but has since passed away, but you feel pressure and expectation of living up to what he was. And this is where the game goes beyond the colourful and beautiful visual design and graphics, and if it can provide a thought-provoking and in-depth story, delving into different themes and the expectations that one has of themselves and those put on us by others, then this can go from a solid platformer with some nice visuals and become something much more. That depth mixed in with the fun gameplay, which sees you use your guitar for various things such as creating platforms and using it to take down your enemies. And if the soundtrack can be as memorable as the visuals too, seeing as music is a large part of the game, if everything can come together properly, then this could be something special. And at number 5 is 12 minutes, and I only needed to watch around 20 or 30 seconds of the trailer to know that this game is right up my alley and something that I'll love the hell out of. I often say in other videos that when it comes to games such as these, smaller indie type games, you don't play them in order to show off your amazingly powerful Xbox Series X or S, and that's not to say 12 minutes in any way looks bad. I completely love the art style and look of the characters and the apartment in which the game is set, as you continually play through the same 12-minute time period in order to solve the mystery of what's going on. Created by Luis Antonio before having a small team help him out, a former artist from Ubisoft and Rockstar Games, if 12 minutes can take its premise of reliving events over and over whilst delivering a compelling story and having decisions really have meaning, plus having a satisfying conclusion to wrap everything up, then this game could be one of the killer games of the year, not only for indies, but taking into account all games. The script and dialogue will be really important in delivering upon the story, and with voice talent such as Willem Dafoe, Daisy Ridley and James McAvoy, the talent is most certainly there. I can't wait to play this. Sliding in at number 4, and hopefully this gets a release this year, as it's already been out on the PC for quite a while, and it's Microsoft Flight Simulator. And of course, this isn't going to be the game that wows many of you out there when it comes to its gameplay. It's more of a niche title for sure, but it also shows the diversity amongst Microsoft's lineup of games, plus also shows how Asobo Studios has done some awesome work and who were responsible for the excellent A Plague Tale: Innocence, and have also worked on other games such as Quantum Break. And considering the sheer size of this game world, the entire Earth, then it's amazing how good it looks and the technology that runs it all, utilizing the cloud for map data and photogrammetry in order to create the world and the 3D models of everything in the environment. Flight Simulator is a technical marvel, from its sheer size of the entire world to the detail that makes up everything. It isn't perfect when viewing objects up close, but considering what the game is doing overall, it's a huge accomplishment and is a perfect game for Xbox Game Pass, giving gamers access to it for a low cost. I'm interested to see how this looks and runs on the Series X and S, and hopefully we see it by year's end. Then at number 3 we have Warhammer Darktide, and not a whole lot is known about this yet, but it has been shown off in the trailer, so you'll have some idea of what the game will be like gameplay wise and how it will look. But for anyone out there who hasn't played Warhammer Vermintide 2 yet, then make sure you check that game out, especially if you have a few friends to co-op with, as it's just fantastic and a whole lot of fun, and it's on Game Pass for those playing on console. So Darktide, just like Vermintide 2 before it, sees you and up to 3 other players teaming up as you take on waves of AI enemies, as you make your way through the different maps, collecting different types of loot and gaining experience to level up your character, controlling one of several classes, each with different abilities and weapons to use. And of course, if you're a fan of the Warhammer universe, then you'll no doubt be playing this. Vermintide 2 also looks and performs beautifully on the Series X, so check that and Darktide out if you're looking for games to impress you graphically. With great looking enemy and weapon designs, this one is no doubt going to be a hell of a lot of fun when it finally comes out, one to watch out for. For number 2, it's the excellent looking The Ascent, and this game just looks better and more incredible every time they show something new, and this is right near the top of my list when it comes to games I'm looking forward to. I'm not a huge fan of twin stick shooters, which this is, but the setting of it, with the cyberpunk dystopian feel and the colour palette that gives that Blade Runner vibe, that I'll always be on board with. So the world here is known as Veles, and a massive corporation controls it, and they're known as the Ascent Group. When they collapse, you rise up against the chaos that is building with other groups, factions and corporations, all vying for control. You'll be acquiring loot throughout the adventure, and I'm hoping that the different districts in the game have their own personality and visual design that distinguishes them from each other, but also that the game has a solid story and some good characters to go along with it. This is what will create a believable world and one that you want to know more and more about. It will make it go beyond simply being a twin stick shooter in a cool setting, and I really hope it has that added depth. And this one will also be on Game Pass as well. And closing out at number 1 is Halo Infinite, and there's probably no other game more anticipated for Xbox players than this when it comes to exclusives this year. It was meant to be launching with the console back in 2020, but with the less than ideal showing it had when first shown off, it was decided that the game should be delayed, which was the right call. And this was primarily used to improve all areas of the graphics, from textures and lighting to the level of detail on the enemies. And this is meant to be Xbox's biggest franchise and most loved. And because of that, it needs to be given the respect and time that it needs so that the best possible game is delivered. With many gamers seeing the 4th and 5th games in the series to be a bit of a disappointment, especially the Halo 5 campaign, then Infinite must deliver both in its single player story and in its multiplayer modes from the very beginning. There's a lot of expectation on this game, and hopefully it delivers in all areas when it finally comes out later this year. With it hitting Game Pass as well, I'm expecting server issues for sure, and for Halo fans to jump online to play, but in terms of story, narrative and gameplay, Halo Infinite needs to hit the ground running. So there's some Xbox exclusives that should all be releasing this year, and we will most likely get some solid release dates once E3 rolls around soon. But which games are you most looking forward to? Or which ones do you want to see more of? Please let me know down below in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe and share it around as it helps the video and channel get pushed out to more people. Hit the bell notification and check out the description for a link to the Discord to discuss everything Xbox and gaming. And with that, I'll see you on the next video.